early in the game, I would like to go straight down the seam, and hopefully the ball moves off the seam, or it maybe swings a little bit. Sometimes going cross seam is also helpful because it can skid off the smooth part, or it can also hit the seam and grip a little. My go-to slow ball is the back of the hand slow ball. So I will grip it like a normal orthodox ball, and then as I release the ball, I'll come round the back, and it'll come out the back of my hand, and hopefully with that it dips, I get some revolutions on, hopefully grips into the pitch and maybe bounces a little bit more. A split finger ball, so you can see that grip, but what happens there is that stops the revolutions of the ball going backwards, and instead it actually goes forwards and then dips on the batsman through the air, just running the fingers down the ball. I use that a lot to a left-hander because the ball tends to grip into the pitch and go away from the left-handed batsman.
Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Jordan Thompson. Jordan, how's it all going?
Great, it's been a great few weeks in the 100, as always. The competition's flowing now, getting towards the business end of the comp, and hopefully we can qualify.
So yeah, we're here at Lord's, the home of cricket. Jordan, you're going to give us some tips for young players, young fast bowlers, some of the basics. Do you want to start from the top and maybe start with the grip, and what would your advice be for a youngster if they could just get given, chuck the ball?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in 100 cricket or 2020 cricket, I think you can change your grip on the white ball quite a lot. Me myself, early in the game, I would like to go straight down the seam, and hopefully the ball moves off the seam, or it maybe swings a little bit. And then depending on what the pitch is like, sometimes going cross seam is also helpful because it can skid off the smooth part, or it can also hit the seam and grip a little. So it's just a matter of kind of reading the game and trying different things to obviously get the batsman out, which is the key thing.
How does it differ from a red ball game?
I think with the red ball, you're always looking to use the seam and stand the seam up, trying to swing the ball, whether that be into the batsman or away from the batsman. And also when you're trying to swing the ball, it can hit the seam and move around off the pitch. Like I said, if you bowl cross seam in white ball cricket, you try and hit the kind of smooth side so it skids, whereas in red ball cricket you want to keep these sides as nice as possible so the ball swings around.
A lot said about variations, especially in the white ball game. You're known for having a box of tricks. Do you want to just run through some of the basics, slower balls, etc.?
I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, so my go-to slow ball is the back of the hand slow ball. So I will grip it like a normal orthodox ball, and then as I release the ball, I'll come round the back, and it'll come out the back of my hand, and hopefully with that it dips, I get some revolutions on, hopefully grips into the pitch and maybe bounces a little bit more. Another one that I use again, a split finger ball. So you can see that grip, but what happens there is that stops the revolutions of the ball going backwards, and instead it actually goes forwards and then dips on the batsman through the air. And then another quite generic slow ball that I use is just running the fingers down the ball. I use that a lot to a left-hander because the ball tends to grip into the pitch and go away from the left-handed batsman. And yeah, that's probably my box of tricks, as you like to say, and try and keep them as secret as possible and use them when I think it's gonna work.
How do you go about practicing it?
I think it's one of those things. So those balls actually took me quite a long time to nail down. The back of the hand slow ball, especially because, like I said, I go straight down the seam. But when you come around the back, you want the seam to come out dead straight, so then it dips on the batsman. So getting that actual position of the ball correct, and it's never going to come out the same all the time. But I try my best to get it as straight as possible, and it took me probably 6 months to nail it down and make sure I was confident in bowling that in a game.
So all about just practicing in the nets of a short run for a young player, perhaps just starting out, and then before actually taking into a game?
Absolutely. I think it's important as a young player to start from the very, very bottom in terms of basics, and maybe from a standing position, just getting used to bowling that, keeping that ball in the wrist position, and then coming around the back and switching the actual direction the ball comes out, and then you can gradually move back to a little jogging, and then you full run up as well, and make sure you bowl it with 100% effort to get the revolutions going down and dipping on the batsman.
When it comes to Yorkers, bouncers, is it all about having your bowling action almost like to the eye of the batsman, just as same as possible, just to not give anything away?
Absolutely, that is the most important thing with all these balls, is making sure there's no cues from the bowling action that's going to give it away to the batsman, and they're prepared then for what's coming. It's again like having a box of tricks. You try and hide them as much as possible and use them at the most effective time. A Yorker, for example, again, I will normally go straight down the seam, which is my generic position of holding the ball. And sometimes when you're bowling Yorkers towards the end of an innings, hopefully the ball is a little bit more scuffed, and then what we call reverse swing, where it tails into the batsman and you can get a little bit of movement late on. A bouncer as well depends massively on dimensions of the ground. As you can see at Lords, you have a slope running from the top side down to the bottom on the left, and you want to use the dimensions. So if there's a bouncer, if you're going to use the bouncer, then you're probably not going to bowl it to a short side down the slope, because it's probably not going to take as much to hit for 6 as it would do up towards the far end. So yeah, that is my technique for bowling Yorkers and bouncers, and my thought process when I'm bowling.
Does your front arm position change in any way? Was it the same? Like, for example, like for a Yorker, do you almost like reach forward a little bit more?
Yeah, not necessarily. I think obviously the release point in terms of where I release it, I think it's very subconscious. I would never know it. It's probably an inch or maybe a couple of inches difference, but I think when you're bowling the ball, it's all about what you're telling your brain to do, and it just does it. So I think keeping that front left, the left arm, your strong arm, or your right arm if you're left arm bowler, as strong as possible in the action, and making sure that you drag down to get as much power through the ball.
Where are you on like the specifics of the technicalities of the bowling action? A lot of people you almost see on YouTube talk about having a braced front leg to enable to bowl fast. Does that come into your mind, especially when you're growing up? Yeah,
I think it helps. It's something I think that you kind of, as you gradually bowl, your technique is kind of given to you. I think there's a lot of people, to be fair, I've got a braced front leg, but don't bowl as fast as some other people with braced front legs, and I think people with a non-braced front leg are sometimes quicker than me as well. But I think it does help to kind of catapult you over and a bit of a snap through your action, and allow you to kind of bowl a bit of a faster ball.
When it comes to tactics, you did mention it before about the slope, etc. But in a white ball game, say you've bowled a lot of like last overs, like at the death specifically. How do you go about almost setting a batsman up and defending a total, etc. in those last set?
Exactly, that is the thing, is setting the batsman and trying not to be too obvious with whatever you're trying to do in terms of if you're going Yorkers, maybe you go wide Yorkers to keep the ball away from the short boundary. Like I said, not being predictable, so it might be a slower wide ball. Making sure you're not set up so the batsman can predict you and walk across and hit you to a short side, and that's the whole game really. I think you see a lot of it in the 100 in terms of trying to outsmart the batsman, and that's how it is.
And the last one, what would be your best piece of advice for a young quick if they came up to you asking you?
Yeah, I think it's just learn as much as possible. I think the same with the batting now, is people are trying obviously scoops and reverse sweeps from a young age, and I think to be one step ahead of batsmen now is to have as many skills as you can, but also make sure that those skills are very well practiced, and when you go into a game you're confident to use them. But also don't forget your basics in terms of seam position and bowling it with a good seam, and making sure you try and knock it off, hit the pitch, and whether that's nipping into the batsman on a way or as a little bit of swing, that's the way to go.
Jordan, perfect. Thank you.
No worries.